Waiting for the right time, the middle buttocks rushed to the next cave. Is this time? I can't believe God wants to make fun of you. The rope, because he swayed it so many times. So it broke directly in two. The man watched the rope fall. What is it? He screamed out in a panic, Mom. It can't be like that. The middle buttocks rushed to use the combination technique. I can't believe this time. The rest of your healthy hand. It's also starting to crack. You're helpless. Please don't. The middle buttocks couldn't resist. I have to let go. He crashed into a nearby cliff and went straight into the abyss. Right now, the broken rope was stuck on a stone. It was this that helped Chung's ass escape from death. You're suspended right next to the cave. Maybe because of the panic, so the middle buttocks have been lying motionless for a long time. The next second, you got your spirit back. With all my strength to climb up. Middle buttocks tired breathing, not out of breath, mouth endlessly scolding the crazy man Mount Hua Swordsman. He thought, what the hell are you doing building a hideout here? Training in the mountains for a long time, so she's out of her mind or something. It's not. But that, I have to go back to the cave anyway. I almost lost this life. Middle buttocks slowly turn over a cloth that's covered in dirt nearby. Throw it straight to the side. Under that cloth there's a table and a mattress to sleep on. It's been a long time, so the dust is thick. Chung Myung looked at the sparkling jewel next to her. Not from feeling. There's a Ming Chao who's stuck here. The name of this sword. I really don't know what to do. How much is that thing worth? There must be that. I forgot about it. The middle buttocks are approaching a nearby barrel. You quickly open it. Inside there, it also contains a small bone. Happy to lift it up here. It's clear that he's hiding the pheasant here. This thing, it will be very helpful in the recovery of our body. And then look forward to carefully opening the bone. Suddenly, a smell came from the bone. That you don't ask startled. You're confused about aesthetics. What is this? I just opened the lid of the box. It's like the flowers of tomorrow are blooming all around. The middle buttocks could not contain the joy of screaming. Snow apricot knitting sao, he even hid the snow. It's thousands of times more expensive than the next day. It can't be too great. And what's more, this pile is like a base material. It's tomorrow. That's a good thing. Or don't be too angry, master. But he doesn't hide the most expensive thing, which is fake knitting. First of all, let yourself completely recover. When you finish, sit down on the ground. In the meantime, if you can increase your power a little bit, that's fine. Looking shaky ass holding snowflower, knit up. Not be delayed. In one sip, he swallowed all the snow. Mid-buttock torch snow apricot knit into the body. In the next second, it instantly melts. It's everywhere inside your body. Looks amazing ass. I thought I couldn't even chew. That it melts. And carry a pure fragrance all over my body. I don't have time to feel the smell. You have to focus. Not at first. To the wind of the snow. It's spreading all over my body. Get out outside. We have to keep it. When I finished, my ass picked up my body. Success. Keeps no apricot knit from escaping outside. Waiting in the heart of thought. But just like that, I will not be able to use the air. To be able to recover, because it's not pure. Even the famous snow apricot of paint. But when you go into the knitting part of your body, it's still too much stuff. Must filter raw. There's only one way to get rid of most of the air. We've got a long way to go to have the perfect foundation, right? Although this choice is not easy. If you hurry, it can be destroyed. Remove all the air and leave only the purest things. There's only a few left. I'm sorry to die. That's a nasty ass. After completing the purification process, there's only a few parts left. You have to pull the pieces. Put it all in the deepest part of the fabric. To the place where the celestial foot of air. Then the purest pieces have been. Put it together. To form a complete circular mass. The sphere immediately emits a powerful light. Dazzling eyes. And then suddenly, there was a loud explosion. The light shines all around. The sphere hovers in the air. The next second, he fell to the ground. That beam of light surrounds the mid-buttocks. You're hovering in the middle right now. Face, the middle of the ass, is now sweating profusely. Your eyes light up. Middle buttocks constantly screaming 7 bars. Inside the cave. Middle buttocks sitting cross legs. Put your hands on your knees and do the exercises. Your body radiates energy everywhere. Face up to the sky. Mouth wide open, eyes no longer fly, hair pupils. Your rough hands are shaking. Treasure on the knee. It's floating around with tendons, and it's clenching, and it's radiating energy. From the outside looking at the cave opening, it's shining. Close your eyes calmly. Black hair floating in the air. Your eyes turned red. Included energy rays. The broken bone and the wounds inside suddenly change. Chinese cotton is bewildered. Suddenly, I saw the injuries on my body, gradually recovered only in the blink of an eye. You're even more resilient than before. This is unbelievable. You don't think the use of Lin Dan as effective as animals when the blood is running in an immature body like this. Your body is floating. The rays of energy are still shining around. His hands held out, his eyes constantly watching the change. Your face is liquid. It's the waste that's flowing out through the body. The acupressure and veins are also dilating. You're panicking because your heart is beating so fast. Suddenly, an orange light flashed down from the top of his head. Your hair is standing. Your eyes are so full of tension. Reverse flow of air from the bottom, flowing through the middle of the field. It's pouring down, like a big wave rushing down a waterfall. You can't control the energy. If it continues to flow through the entire upper reaches, then you'll be possessed. His hands trembled trying to lift. Must stop the flow of blood. The sweat on your face. Your hands are tight to your chest. Tighten the shirt. He breathed out, his white eyes wide open. Are you a warrior or a fighter? The master's words are in your head. The blue energy soared into his chest. Makes you push back on the middle. You remember the past. Wrestlers must know how to control and suppress, as religious people will ignore it. A man laughed and said, "Where is the order of the world? And how to solve it?" If you want to stop D, you have to let the water flow through D. Let it go. Let it go. Then everything will work in its own right. Humans are also natural. In this vast natural world, SAO does not include humans. So just ignore it. So just ignore it. Image appears. Finally, the same admonition is that a man turns his back. Two knitting hands back, looking towards the light shining down. Pain in the middle of the buttocks, hands still tied to the shirt. His body tilted up to the sky, slowly loosened. You're floating on the middle stitch, and it's glowing. Suddenly, you stand on the water. The middle buttocks suddenly raised their eyes to look. In front of you is a wall. There's 2 cracks in between, as long as the blue light. You're slowly starting to realize something. And this is the land. He walked slowly forward in his face. Water towards the invisible wall here. Your intuition told you this. You know where you are. And the wall breaks down in front of you. This is the entrance to the temple. Your speed of movement increases. You're thinking about how rotten your body is. His whole hand touched the water on the wall. Calmly close your eyes. You can feel the shock. Get out of this wall. Sooner or later, the blood will also pierce the sky. You're worried. It's a lot more dangerous than you can imagine. If the wall doesn't open, it will collapse. But once it's opened, it'll be blown away. There's only one way. He looked up at the crack intently. You remember the chief's advice. If you want to stop D, you have to let the water flow through D. The waterfall in my head. He looked at the crack. He said let it flow. The shorter you try to block it, the more it spills out. Now you can just leave it young. From the palm of your hand where you're touching. It's an energy like fireworks. It glows. It's like a firecracker in front of you. You look up. It's thanks to those grunts that you got through. Under the foot of the water that never stops flowing. It took you 100 years to realize this truth. Water from outside the big hole in the wall. Suddenly, it's pouring in like a waterfall. The image of your body as being submerged in water. There are 3 circular points of light from the abdomen to the head. You follow the straight line. The image of the sun as the yoke. When the sunset appears between 2 mountains of moss. Open your eyes like you just woke up. You're floating in the air with your head up. You're confused because you're in a cave. Suddenly, he fell on the thin mattress, screaming in pain. He turned his head back and forth, scratching in bewilderment. What am I playing? You hold out your hand first. He stared at his silent hand. You remember the scene, when the wall shatters to pieces like firecrackers. His hand clasped his lips tightly to his thoughts. Every point on my body, it's all been cleared. This immature body has withstood it all. Just deviate a little bit. I could be half paralyzed. Or lose your life. I can't believe the chief's advice. I've got a big problem. You think. The leader's image appeared again. But the price is clear. You slowly stand up. The palm of the hand grips the celestial foot. Gas is restored. Chinese cotton smiles satisfied when the narrow acupressure is opened, and the interior also increased. The result is, you stand on the mattress. Just observe. It seems that the size of your hand has grown. You have to die once to be enlightened. The sky is clear blue, and the clouds are sparsely floating. You slowly step forward, where the light is more aesthetic. Brothers' words or grumbling, Ra has another meaning. It's a martial artist who knows how to control and regulate. The religious will ignore it. A swordsman is not an executioner. Flowering is both a sword and a polymath. That's the characteristic of paint. You stand in front of the cliff looking out. But it's a little strange to call yourself a murderer. Can I restore the paint as before? Middle school grimacing thoughts scratching her neck. Before you do anything, you have to try it first. I looked up at the peaceful sky. If you can't be reassured, that's all. You open the little box. Inside countless round red beads like pearls. These things, it doesn't mean anything to you now. As someone else, then maybe it's going to work really well. He looked at the smiling jade. He decided to turn around and walk back inside. He ran to the door and suddenly thought of something. You slowly step back. Right there, on the belly line, are 2 small wine jars tied up. With the thought that just being curious. I don't know what 100-year-old wine tastes like. Not because you want to drink. Ass licking lips. This small movement is a place where all the old looks are kept. Once upon a time, Hua Sect completely renewed this. You stand in front of the cave. So it's in this cave. It makes you feel like time before is rushing back. You remember very much that time. Your subject's picture is smiling. Closed eyes full of grace and grace. You lower yourself. The stream of power like a tornado appears around, into a circle. You said you'd come here sometimes. You take a minute to the sky. He hurried to another cliff. With one arm and 2 legs, he clung to the cliff. The other hand holds the bed. Like an arrow, you're flying in front of a steep cliff. You run and you smile. From one place to another. Can be flexible and run. You're stuck. Your right foot is on the rock. You use force to throw yourself up on the middle stitch. Middle butt turned around smiling. The scenery above is majestic. The sun was red and the clouds were like fog. You finally landed. Get your hands to dust off the dirt. Your body is as light as a pink feather. You look back. Look at the scenery and praise it. Your eyes are closed. Take a deep breath and feel the air in the mountains. Just wanted to praise somewhere. A light stream of brown air into your nasal cavity. Make stand picture. You yelled out with a freaking vomit. What the hell does it smell like? Why does my body smell so bad? Somewhere there is a moaning in the cold UI night. Someone from inside opened the door. I still don't want to wake up. I'm tired and sleepy. A group of people in white came out with noisy swords. There were 2 boys talking to each other. They're talking about AI. But how strange is that guy these days? Around everyone whose eyes closed, eyes open sluggishly. What they're talking about is the middle. He doesn't seem very well these days. I don't see him training regularly anymore. Their conversation gets people's attention. He said there's gossip in the ass. To be possessed by ghosts, because he seems to be getting thinner and thinner. People nearby can hear it and suddenly look out. He continued to analyze people's health conditions. Make it all sound out loud. They gathered in front of the red flag. Some people are confused when they hear them talk. People are sweating their lips. He's wondering. So why? Now we have to listen to him. It's not because no one can beat him. What they're describing to reality is a little bit wrong. In the ass, now as mobile corpses, without any strength. These people keep talking. Gathered into a large group. They're discussing plans for the overthrow. Assault in the ass. A red head. Is the Zogun standing nearby watching in silence? A blue-haired man standing next to Mr. Chun Cotton. I advise you not to touch it. I took a deep breath. Laughing, you'll soon know the truth. Suddenly, the red wooden door opened. Everyone turned to look at the same time. The door is open. There's a light like a flash of light. That person's foot stepped out. This guy's face is shiny, thick black hair. He opened his mouth wide with wonder. That's the butt. His face is as tight as a baby. Everything you say is like an angel. The Kier people's plan to attack that AI seemed to collapse. They're amazed that you suddenly look healthy. Now they only die fighting. Shout out from the middle, you soldiers. You keep talking. My teacher here feels very sorry for you. Over time, the body is not well, so we had to pause. Join us in training with you. Your face is down. Be full of regret and feel guilty about this. They feel like you're about to play something. It looks like glue. Embarrassed to say sympathy and Chenan. Chung Myung clasped his other hand to his chest. To say sorry words full of humanity. He stopped seriously and turned his eyes forward. You said, if you can't undo the mistake, you can still correct it. If you don't practice enough, you can practice more. After hearing it, everyone's face was stiff and unable to understand. He raised his index finger and smiled. The finger points to the towering mountains. Majestic, you say run. This request made them stand like statues. Looking Fragile's smiling face full of barbarism said, from high to low. Half of the people who are late will have to run again. After listening to the whole assembly, your face is pale. While others wonder. To his horror, Chun Cotton ran ahead. The Yogin quickly chased after him. They're starting out. They're flying over the wall. In turn, each of them then urged each other to run. Someone warned me to run back late. They scrambled up the cliff. Behind the dusty, buttock knitting hands out the back. Dare to dream of betrayal? Clever at just. But you're still happy that they want to rebel like this. You stand up and look. There are limits to how well you obey. You think. Suddenly, you're a little startled, but before being disgruntled. The worst thing is that you don't have the ability. Let the unknown have a voice. The most important thing is the ability. The second thing you need is power. They're in the trunk of the mountain. Follow the path to the top. The mountain seems to be surrounded by ants. When viewed from a distance, the buttocks stood still without taking their eyes off them. That power I will help you get. Throughout the 1,000-year history of martial arts, there have been countless first masters. He earned that title with his own strength. But there's only one good person in the school. It can't make that sect. They are famous everywhere. That is, if you want the school to restore its reputation. All disciples must be strong. Symbolic images like cherry blossoms appear. Your eyes are still on high. We will be in a higher position than ever before. HOA Sun middle buttocks aesthetic. In the back of my head, those of you who are eating late. The devil has a loud voice. Sunset falls between two majestic Chaosian mountains. The armies of men who lie on the ground. Breathing rosy, his eyes were as white as a corpse on the battlefield. Yogel on his back. He couldn't stop breathing. Your eyes turn backward to see that AI standing up. That's Chung Cotton. Even if you run like crazy, you still stand up. He wiped his chin with his hand. He stared at. Turn your back to think. The more I understand at SAO Big Brother, I can become a big brother again. The problem is not in power. It's a strong will. A heavy object rubbing against the ground. Middle buttocks appear with two stones on both sides hand. Solve with the odd ones around the calves, hands, wrists. He urged those who had finished running. Give me the sandbag. What are you grumbling about? Why did you lie down? How long can you run like that? He pouted his lips full of 7 hopes. Young people today are weak. That's not how we were back then. Chun Cotton and Beard Gold directed eye observation. The 2 stones in your hand that you threw forward. Middle buttocks, hands off the sacks. Today's announcement is here. If you run during training, you can do 10 times as much. Slowly, he walked up the stairs toward the entrance and said, Go and arrange your training equipment. Be kind. They were lying on the ground crushing him. On the dining table, everyone's clothes are dirty. Everyone's hair is messy and picking up food. They look quite emaciated, so sluggish that I don't even touch my chopsticks. Some people vomit because they are afraid of eating, so they skip meals. His face is like a zombie. One of them called Big Brother. He's afraid to stutter. The intensity of our training is a little ridiculous, or SAO, he said. Qian timidly bent his face down, both hands trembling. They don't stop complaining. Qian frowned and looked down and ate rice to hear the call for help. I asked Zogun for his opinion. He's picking up the piece of meat, and suddenly he comes back. You think for a moment. You realize it's getting harder and harder. But not to the point where the body can't stand it. Right. You keep asking the analytical questions. Everyone is also looking at Theo. Suddenly, the image is full of intrigue. The barbarians of the middle butt are in your head. Finally, Yogan advised everyone, try to endure more. It would be better. Brother, listen for a moment. I also agree with my brother's opinion. Looking back, the AI is also stiff. Chun Cotton is locked. Until then, we won't take it anymore. Gold's beard dropped down on the mattress. He closed his eyes and sighed. Worrying about thinking about sleeping after puberty and exercising again. At this rate, my body will collapse first. I keep thinking, even though I work hard, I can stand it. But can I continue to take it anymore? You close your eyes and fall asleep. That AI call wakes you up. Middle buttock, image blurry appearance. Middle ass sitting on the bed, happily looking for you. It is hard to give you this. The Yogan stood up. Your hand is out. Something glowed that surprised Yogel. The gift I just mentioned set him on fire. That's Lindan. Your ass tells you to be quiet. Brother needs it. The answer made Yogold stare. Middle butt smiling. Remind me to keep a secret from everyone. This makes you so excited. Your face is red. The Yogan put the wicker in his mouth in the back. Prepare for transportation. Your face is sad to think. I was so scared that I thought he was a dreamer. Put your hands on the enemy's back. You release the infection to the person who is. If you are thirsty, that person will appreciate it. The face completely changed. A cunning smile appeared. It's getting dark. A quiet space where laughter echoes. The next morning, the soldiers were practicing their swords. Facials they stretch balls diligently work out. Olgum stand observation. I feel something different than before. Their sword was much more stable. He suddenly realized. The sword is the same. But the sharpness and stability in each sword is completely different. The legs are very powerful. The upper body is stable, so the weight is on the tip of the sword. In a short period of time, they've made a lot of progress, to the point of surprising him. I remember the middle of the ass. Please show me within a month that you will show the master the results. Maybe it's the result of that early morning workout. He pondered. His eyes turned forward, itching, as if he saw something. That's the middle butt. He's also training with them. How long has it been since I was seen? The spirit of courage escaped from the eyes of the children. He squeezed his lips. At the end of the sword training, he stood up. Your swords are all very flexible. They looked up. The attentive praise. Happy to announce. As long as you keep up the pace, they're allowed to skip the previous process. He shouted out loud to make everyone know. And always learn tie a love cup sword. They recite it all the time. Everyone is happy to hear the news. He smiled. If you work hard, you will be rewarded. If you get a reward, you have to try harder. If you keep this level, in the future, they will become top swordsmen. Hua son, who stepped up and called his name. An old man came over to surprise them. He asked the chief. They then arranged to meet somewhere else. When asked about the purpose of the White House, brother in the bow, he seemed worried because he felt something was wrong. He gave me 6 swords. In the trunk of the middle butt, carry on. You're asked to turn to the last page. Suddenly, my eyes widened. On the last page, something sputtered. It's a page like a line of mail to send to that AI. The letter is sent to my descendants. Responsibility of the posterity. It's not about growth or change. Hua-san, martial arts. Martial arts will continue to evolve and evolve. But no matter what. 6 is the basic. It's the spine of paint. 6 cases changed. It's no different. The soul of the mountain is no longer intact. Hope that Hua-san's descendants will engrave this in mind. They both pay attention to the last words. Olgum holds the silent book. The look on his face right now seemed a little worried. 6 cases where Hoa painted majestic hills and mountains, vast sky. 6 is the basic martial art. It has been maintained in Hoa-san since ancient times. Is a martial art that teaches students from how to hold Sao Cho properly. All martial arts. It's all grown from 6 legal swords. The body must be balanced. The ability to control the sword on the water. I was panicking, but your boss. Times have changed a lot. Are we still learning 6 or Sao? Because learning LUC fits too slowly, so we invented it together. I have 6 swords. You are in deep thought. He opened his eyes to butter. That's why I came here to hear your opinion. He explained. Just like you said. Hoa-san dropped 6 combinations and invented 6 combinations of swords. Since then, this martial art has become fundamental and the origin of martial arts. But we can't take lightly what our ancestors taught us. He continued. Then the lines along the lines. It's written from ancient ancestors. Staring at him seems to think. Of course it is. All the descendants. The lessons. Teaching from ancestors. That's the path they have to follow and do their best. All have to make an effort. Follow the path that your ancestors laid out. How can we deny this unwavering will of the ancestors? His hand still touched the pages near the end of the book. You are the one who teaches the children in this painting. Because this is the most basic martial art, I can't help but listen to your opinion. You said with a smile. He was reassured not to think too much. Share it openly if necessary. Face down and think for a moment. Your hands are wrapped around the paper. You're going to follow tradition. Or choose to change, he wondered. Cherry tree cow, to bloom, the flowers flaming under Chang's scorching sun. Both remain in the same position. Good luck with that. That's why I made 6 swords. To save practice time for Hoa paint. We don't have time to relax. To teach the disciples. Because we are a sect. It can be destroyed at any time. That's why you wanted to ask him a question. Whether the current paint has a future or not. I finished listening to the question. With this serious attitude, it's a little stiff. The future, the old man murmured. Compared to before that, everything they had was much better. From wealth to treasures and ancestral traditions. But in fact, they just solved one. In a mountain of problems. There's still a lot of problems. He lowered his face, a little sad. Your question is really hard to answer. I hope you understand me. I can't answer your question exactly. He replied. When he finished, he folded the 6 swords. Then I object to this. I don't understand why you're confused. He turned his face to look back. His eyes turned to where his students were practicing their swords. Enthusiastic, and said, because it's hard to start over. 6 swords, although of the same origin. It's like 2 completely different martial arts. 6 slow, but probably still advanced 6 cases. It's a school of speed and serenity. Moreover, the children learn this martial art very quickly. They have now received the original part of the progress. 6 matches up. For this condition. If you have to learn 6, it may not bring any results. He explained. It is important to be able to successfully practice 6. Martial arts practitioners need a solid and stable landing. But now it's too late to do that. He finished listening and kept quiet. Then he was asked about the most essential thing about this martial art. What is? Landing firmly in a cautious spirit. When I finished, I suddenly seemed to realize something. He quickly turned back and looked. What he noticed was their steady landing. The second most important thing is to be careful. Of course, the 2 most essential elements are already in place. You in laughter said, it seems that the training is not small. Turn your face towards him. Scratching his head in confusion. What they learned was not from you, but from you. Again, his eyes widened and he looked back. The person who caught your attention the most, that's the little guy picking his nose. Eyes closed, eyes open, boring. It is also hope. Your head is thinking something. Suddenly turn around. Hurry up and tell your boss to wait for you. Let you have a job. You need to ask a child. For a while. Chung Cotton was picking his nose when he shot himself. When my name is called out. You are asked to come in and ask. Middle buttocks nod. Go quickly to where you are. Ask slowly to go far.